What's up, everybody? This is Mark, and welcome to the commentary track of Metal Gear Solid: The Master Collection Volume 1. In today's video, I'm going to be starting off by playing the original Metal Gear Solid that came out for the PlayStation 1 back in 1997, I believe it was. It says that this game has been altered. It has some views and themes that may be outdated today, but weren't necessarily the case back over 2 decades ago. But they said that they didn't alter it in any way. So after you agree to this terms of use, you will be taken to a new alternate main menu for Metal Gear Solid. And from this menu right here, you can select all the games Metal Gear Solid, the Japanese integral version, or VR missions, or the European VR missions. You can also download multiple European languages to have the game in multiple languages. And these new additions, you have the screenplay book there and a few other extra features. Now, to download that European pack, that's 4.88 gigabytes to download all those games, because it's downloading the game all over again. The Japanese version comes in at just a little bit over 2 gigabytes, so you have to download a whole new game just to play it with those languages. But I just downloaded the English version off of the PlayStation Store, and I'm just playing it that way. Now, because this game comes in at like a square ratio, you know, the CRT TV type size, there are borders on the left and right, but it gives you some wallpapers that you can run through to keep in the background as you are playing the game. And the display area, you can even put your game on the left or on the right side of the screen, but I just chose to keep it centered, and I chose a nice little wallpaper to have in the background there while I play. This is version 1.2.1. This is a day one update just to fix a few small bugs that were with the game. I believe it was with timing and voice issues and things like that. Here goes that Metal Gear Solid screenplay book that I was talking about. And it's just a little digital book, but not really going to go through this, but just showing you that it exists. You could select the music in the game and you can play it on your TV, or if you have it set to a surround sound system, it'll come out of that, obviously. You can bookmark where you were inside the screenplay guide, and then you have just your standard controls. So leaving this right now. It says that this has spoilers, but I imagine that everybody beat this game at this point in time. Unless you've been living on Xbox your entire life, which is quite sad, because this is, for me, not just this one, but the whole series in general is arguably the greatest game series of all time. Arguably. I'd say that it is, but there's other people that wouldn't agree with me. So you have this nice little Metal Gear archive thing here, and just thumbing through that real quick. I'm just trying to give you guys just a little taste of the things that you can expect from this game and that you can see. Not going through all this stuff in great detail. Now here goes the actual game selection screen. You got the standard Metal Gear game that came out in 1998. Correction, I said 97. It came out in 98. You got the Metal Gear Solid VR missions. I think this is 300 missions. Beat that way back when on PlayStation 1. Then you got the VR special missions. This came out predominantly inside of Europe. Did not come out inside of America. And Metal Gear Solid, the integral version, is a Japan-only release. And it makes the game... It even gives you a very easy mode, in which if you select that very easy mode, you start off the game with a MP5 submachine gun, I believe it is. Now, I'm American, but I do live in Japan, as I have been living in Japan for the past 20 years. I bought the integral version for PlayStation 1 over a decade and a half ago, so I can attest to that MP5 being there. I bought the game primarily just to keep as a collector's item, not necessarily to play, but I did turn it on one time and get to shoot that gun around. And the other cool thing about that MP5 submachine gun is that it has infinite ammo, if memory serves me correct. But that was only for the Japanese market, because I guess apparently for some reason Japanese people don't like hard games. Maybe they just primarily play for the story and get it done with, and then they're essentially done with the game. That edit save data lets you put different games on there for you to experience Psycho Mantis as he was back in 1998. You know, he would read your memory card on the PlayStation 1 and he'll say, "Oh, you like playing Castlevania or Contra or such." And yeah, if you had those game files on there, he would read your memory card and tell you what it is that you enjoy playing. So I put the 4 games that I used to play on PlayStation 1 that I actually owned on my memory card for memory's sake. Contra, Castlevania, Project Overkill, and then Silent Hill was the 4th one. But Sweet Doken is another one, and then there were some other Konami games in there. If you look on the left and right, you'll see I chose the 3rd wallpaper selection. I like this one because I like Snake and I like the Cyborg Ninja.
Alaska's Fox Archipelago was attacked and captured by Next Generation Special Forces, being led by members of Foxhound.
I really enjoyed this game back in the day.
They're demanding that the government turn over the remains of
I thought the story was just magnificent.
24 hours,
Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, arguably the greatest fiction story of the 20th century.
Kenneth Baker. Both are being held as hostages. Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to make a nuclear strike and stop them if they do.
What's the insertion method?
Now, they didn't alter really much of anything with this game in particular. I think the max that you get out of this is 720p. I don't even think it's 1080p. I think it's 720p, and it's locked at a solid, no pun intended, 30 frames per second.
High-tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound, your former unit.
You know, they didn't go ahead and do the George Lucas with this and just start changing around a whole bunch of things and trying to make small things better, or just make small incremental changes here and there and improve things here and there. This is the game exactly as you remember it, which I appreciate. If they're gonna take the time to do all these little small changes, they might as well just go ahead and make a whole new game, which is what they're doing with Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is the PlayStation 5 remake, upcoming remake of Metal Gear Solid 3.
The nuclear weapons disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by codec after you reach your target.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP?
Yes, this is a top-secret black op. Don't expect any official support.
I gotta be honest with you, I haven't played this game in over a decade. Just fooling around with some controls was actually quite difficult for me, because I was like, I thought for sure you can look around in first-person view mode, and I didn't know how to do it whatsoever. We're gonna get to that soon, and you're gonna see me dying a lot and killing a lot of people, because that was the only way I could proceed, because I forgot how to do small things within the game itself. Alright, so you see me navigating through the menu, things like this. Everything is essentially the same. You can either turn on or off the captions, sound and stereo monorail, vibration for the controller, and you can give a vibration test. Here goes the screen adjustment to make the light perfect for your monitor, and that's all there is there. Alright, so getting ready to run you guys through the whole story. So we're going to actually take a look at all of these briefings together. I think every now and then I might give some little humorous quips.
You were behind this, Colonel.
That's no way to greet an old war buddy, Snake.
I want this to be entertaining for you guys, so I'm going to be a little bit humorous, a little bit serious.
Invited? That's what you call sending armed soldiers after me?
Sorry if they were a little rough with you. But we've got a serious situation here. Only you can get us out of it.
I'm retired from Foxhound. You're not my commander anymore. And
Foxhound. I really love Metal Gear, so much to the point that I actually got a Foxhound tattoo on my left shoulder.
Who's this?
When I first came to Japan with the United States Air Force back in 2003.
Are you military?
So I've had this tattoo for the past 20 years.
Pleasure to meet you, Snake. Don't worry, this injection.
Now at the age of 40, I don't agree with getting tattoos on my body so much, but if I had to have gotten something,
Listen up. It all went down
that was the one to get.
Heavily armed soldiers occupied.
I can live with this one until I die, but I'm getting no more after this.
What soldiers?
And it's just the Foxhound logo.
Special forces, led by members of Unit Foxhound. They've presented Washington with a single demand, and they say that if it isn't met, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
A nuclear weapon?
Now, we can argue this with other people out there inside the world, or I can argue it with other people, but I'm definitely going to say, and I truly believe this, that I am the biggest Metal Gear Solid fan inside the entirety of the world. It's not the reason I came to Japan, but I'm glad that I'm here, and I've even attempted at points in time to try to work with the director himself, Kojima, at his new production studios, Kojima Productions, but it didn't pan out the way that I wanted it to. I submitted a resume. This is about a year ago. I submitted a resume along with a portfolio of my work, of my graphic design work and things like that. I don't even think whoever's working in the HR department, I don't even think they read my email. I definitely sent it to the right email address because it wasn't kicked back to me. But they never replied to me, so I became busy with other things, so I just gave it a rest. But maybe at some point in the future I might attempt to try it again. Next time I'm just going to go in there face to face and see what's up. Not leave my fate up in the hands of whoever's checking the emails.
What's the insertion method?
Well, an air insertion is impossible.
But it's a pretty international team working over there at Kojima Productions. They're currently working on what's that game? Part 2, the one with Norman Reedus.
Able to hear our engine or propeller noise.
And then
We'll launch a one-man SDV.
launch.
Death Stranding 2
Only
is what
this
it
has
is.
no propulsion device of its own. After the SDV gets as close as it can, dispose of it. From there on, you'll have to
I like this game for the fact that they really did their research
Don't worry.
with the United States military, American intelligence agencies and things like that. They know all these acronyms and all these terminology. Not the layman's terms, but the terminology that people inside of these different fields spy agencies, DOD agencies, the terms that they use. So this game is just chock full of those terms and dialogue like that. It's one thing that really led to the authenticity of the game, and another reason why I really like it.
Limit? 24 hours. They say they'll launch after 24 hours.
Do they say what the target will be?
So far, they haven't mentioned the target.
When did the countdown start?
5 hours ago.
Snake is such a cool character. He's a pretty hard-boiled dude. Pretty tough guy. A little bit ancient as well, especially the way that he talks to women.
Colonel, who are you?
People in today's sorry, not work, today's woke community, they would definitely call him a misogynist. He's all right with me.
Which means that the president must be meeting with his top aides in the map room about now, huh?
No, at this point they're still video conferencing with each other.
If that's a real nuclear war,
just the way that his character is in general, he's the main reason why, one of the main reasons why I enjoyed his game so much in the story. He's not the only reason, but he's one of the main culprits of why I enjoy it.
Well, if they haven't relocated to the nuclear shelter under Mount Washington, I suppose there isn't that much reason to worry yet. Is the National Security Agency in on this?
Yes. So is the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency.
The DIA? I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this.
I remember one time, back in around 1998, 1999, circa that time period,
Of course.
I was so into this game and I was mucking about as a teenager that when I was playing all of these videos in game, I had my VCR connected to my CRT TV,
We need backup from a
and I recorded all of these videos
nuclear weapons.
in the sequential order. Because if you take a look at the top left corner of the screen, you'll see that there's that running timer up there. I can't remember how long all the videos last in totality. Something like between 24 to 27 minutes, something like that. But it's all spliced up and chopped up into categories in the game. But what I did was I went back in and I wrote down the sequential timing of which video comes first, second, third, and all that. And I spliced it together without any cuts inside of there, just to make it one long sequence. And I would play that back on my TV and just look at that for no apparent reason.
There aren't many people who know Foxhound as well as I do.
Is that really the only reason?
I've been soldiering for a long time. I don't know anything else. I guess even though I'm getting a little old, I still love to be in the field.
Colonel, you're a lousy liar.
Me and my brother sure did love these games, and another testimony to that,
Okay, Snake.
he is a much better video game player than I am. I'm mostly playing it to enjoy the story,
Who is it?
and I get caught up in the story and things like that. But he loves the gameplay, and I swear to you that he used to go through all of these games and he would always get the max rank on it. He could beat this game in particular, on the hardest setting and meet all the criteria and get the big boss rank at the very end, which is the highest rank that you could possibly get in this game. That means you can't get caught a certain amount of times. You can only kill a certain amount of people. You can only save it a certain amount of times. My brother Miguel, he's 3 years older than me. He would meet all of that criteria, get the big boss ranking, and me and him put in time together and beat all 300 missions of Metal Gear Solid VR training. Sorry, the VR missions game, which is also on this particular disc right here I showed you guys a little while ago.
All right, but I have two conditions.
He can also get the big boss ranking on Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3.
2, I'll only accept orders directly from you, Colonel. No cutoffs involved, okay?
And I got...
Agreed. That's why I was called.
I think I got
But one
a
thing,
full game completion on Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which was the
I understand.
Game Boy. Was it Game Boy Advance? No, I think it was just a Game Boy Color version of Metal Gear. So I was able to beat all the VR missions and the game of that.
That doctor, is she part of this?
And if I'm not mistaken, I think my brother even got the Big Boss ranking on Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, and that's where it ends. At that point in time, after that game came out,
By the way,
then I entered the military shortly after in 2003, and I made my way over to Japan. So whether my brother still cares about this game series, I'm not even sure if he's bought any of the Metal Gear Solid 5 games.
now I don't have to worry about food.
I also put some nootropics in there.
Say what?
You know, they came out with that introductory game, which is almost kind of like a demo, so to speak. And then they came out with the Phantom Pain after that, which was like the real full game. I don't think he's played either one of those.
Quite a cocktail.
I played and beat both of those.
Those nanomachines will also keep your Codex batteries charged up.
And unlike my brother, I was never good enough to get a Big Boss ranking at any of these games, but I did help contribute to him beating the VR missions and doing some other things on this game. Oh, I just talked over that. He was talking to Dr. Naomi Hunter, and I think that's where they were talking about doing the strip search.
Chief of DARPA and the president of an arms manufacturing company.
The way he talks to these women.
What business did they have at a nuclear weapons
But they let him. So I guess it's mutual.
Exercises were being conducted at the time the terrorist group attacked.
Must be extremely important exercises if those two were directly involved. Were they testing some kind of new advanced weapon?
I'm not privy to that information.
Do we know exactly where they're being held?
The DARPA chief has also been injected with a mini transmitter. As you get closer, you should be able to pick up his location on your radar.
Do they really have the ability to launch a nuclear missile?
They say
Nuclear weapons.
they even gave us the serial
I
number of
think
the
there is some
warhead plan to
archival
use.
footage.
Was the number confirmed?
Not I think. There is some archival footage inside of this game,
Hands on a real nuclear
as well
warhead.
as inside of Metal
Isn't there
Gear
some kind
Solid
of
2 and
safety
3
device to prevent this type of terrorism?
of
Every missile and warhead in our arsenal is equipped
just
with a
different
PAL,
military
which uses a
theaters,
discrete detonation code.
scientists,
Per missile action,
nuclear missiles being launched and detonating and
Safety
things
built
like
into
that.
all nuclear weapon systems.
And actually before this game right here, before the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 came out, maybe some months ago, half a year
But even
ago,
if they
I'd
have a
say,
nuclear warhead, it must have been removed from its missile.
a lot of this
All the missiles
archival
being
footage,
disposal sites
their
are supposed to be
Konami's
dismantled.
licenses
It's not
had
that easy to
lapsed
get
or
your hands
expired
on
or whatever you
ICBM.
say.
That used
So
to
they
be
had to
true.
re-up
Since the
the
end of
licenses
Cold War,
were
you can get
with
anything
whoever they
you
got
have
all
with
this
money and
footage
the right
from,
connections.
just so that they can re-release this game unchanged and not have to remove that footage from the game. So everything is just how you remember it. Nothing is taken out, and nothing new is added.
How well armed are these terrorists? I know there was an exercise going on at the time they revolted.
They're heavily armed, I'm afraid.
What about their battle experience?
The 6 members of Foxhound in charge are all hardened
I can't believe the colonel just sat
They're
here
tough
and
enough to eat nails and ask for
just
seconds.
talked to this guy for 27 minutes straight, just looking at nothing but
The
straight
others are
dong.
next-generation special forces.
You
They're
think
not
after
your average
Dr.
Johnson
Naomi
veteran.
had her way with him and gave him shots and checked his body and all that, they'd say, here, put your pants back on, but nope. He just enjoyed sitting there naked.
So what exactly are they demanding?
Full Wang out.
Persons
Colonel
remains.
just pacing back and forth looking at
That's
Full
right.
Wang.
To be more accurate, cell specimens which contain the individual's genomic information.
Cell specimens? Why would they want that?
The terrorists need them. You see, these next-generation special forces have been strengthened through gene therapy.
Strengthened?
You've heard of the Human Genome Project. They've been
This is a
mapping the
cool
human
concept
genome,
here.
and they're nearly
Using
finished.
DNA from other
Following
people,
up on this
good
research,
soldiers,
the military has been working towards
to help
identifying those genes which are
strengthen the
responsible for
genes
making
of
effective
lesser
soldiers.
soldiers to make them more like super soldiers and or better soldiers,
And
so to
using
speak.
gene therapy, they're able to transplant those genes into regular soldiers.
Gene therapy?
I'm not sure if something like this could take place in real life. This is like
remove those genes which we know may lead to sickness or disease.
this is like
At the same time,
pseudoscience.
splice in genes with beneficial effects, such as resistance to cancer, for example.
I don't know. Maybe you could do this, but it all seems theoretical to me. But it seems like a kind of plausible theory.
And so if you knew what genes were responsible for making the perfect soldier, you could implant them in the same way, right?
This game, the
Yes,
story
we could.
wasn't too far-fetched, with the exception of the fact when it came
And
to
in order to do that,
the cyborg
it's
ninja.
helpful
He was the
to study
first
the genomic information
weird
about the
character
greatest
that,
soldiers ever.
for better or worse, maybe he should or shouldn't have been inside of this game. Because once they added him, that just opened up the Pandora's box for adding all kinds of weird villains.
One of the greatest
Villains that can
soldiers ever.
control
The
hornets.
man they call the greatest warrior of the 20th century.
You don't
Guy that climbs up trees like a
We've
spider.
been working feverishly to identify the
Just
genes
all of these
responsible
villains
for
in every
these
single one of these
critical
games is just
So
absolutely...
far, we've discovered about 60 of the so-called soldier
What is the
genes.
word that I'm looking for?
body was
What is a good
redundant
word
after
for weird? A very strong
Their
word
cells
for
remain
weird.
frozen in a cryo chamber.
And whatever that is what they are.
Genomic information is a priceless
Absurd.
treasure to mankind.
Absolutely crazy.
military,
Like,
perhaps.
completely
His body was
unplausible.
burned severely, but it was possible to restore his DNA profile from just a single strand of his hair.
You know, the game was so close to plausibility, but then once you throw the villains inside of here,
We'll
it
use a
takes
process
everything
that
back
I
to like,
discovered called gene targeting. The
well, this
strongest
game is about
soldiers
as
don't
believable as a
become
Marvel
what they are by
superhero
acquiring their
movies.
skills through training or experience. We now know that hereditary factors are far more crucial for creating superior soldiers.
Snake.
Super
We
soldiers.
can't give them his
They're
body.
trying to make
It's
Captain
potentially
America's
more dangerous than all the nuclear warheads
X-Men
on
and
that island
shit.
put together.
I hear the terrorists are calling themselves the Sons of Big Boss.
sounds like a
Big
band.
boss. Tell me about these next generation special forces.
They started out as an anti-terrorist special ops unit, made up of former members of biochem units, technical escort units, and the nuclear emergency search team. Their purpose was to respond to threats involving next-generation weapons of mass destruction, including NBC weapons.
Until they were added, that is.
NBC, ABC,
Who's they?
TNT,
These guys didn't start out as regular
BET,
army.
Looks
MTV.
like a pretty international group. Mercenaries?
Yeah, and it gets worse. Most of them were from a merc agency that I think you're familiar with. They were part of Big Boss's private guard. And after Big Boss went down, the military
Big
just
Boss's
bought out
private
all the
guard. They make him
contracts.
sound like
Outer heaven.
Emperor
After that, they
Palpatine
were
with the
merged our
red
own
guard.
PR unit Force 21 and retrained. If you ask me, these so-called next-generation special forces should be called simulated soldiers. They have no real battle experience.
Video game players, huh?
Don't forget they've all been strengthened with gene therapy.
War as a
They carry
video game.
genes which make them excellent soldiers. Don't get careless just because they don't have much experience.
I thought using genetically modified soldiers was prohibited by international law.
Yes, but those are just declarations, not actual treaties.
The interesting thing is that nearly every member of the unit conspired in this attack.
That's because they're all brainwashed by Psycho Mantis there. Not that a lot of these people really have a choice.
How could an entire unit be subverted to rebellion?
They're calling it a revolution.
Since they all went through the same gene therapy, they probably felt closer than brothers. They see the unit as their only family.
The Sons of Big Boss.
They ain't got wives and kids
But if
back
they were
home.
regular army, they must have been interviewed
kinda
periodically
crazy.
by army counselors.
According to their files, they all got straight A's on their psychological tests. They all seemed like fine, upstanding, patriotic soldiers.
But they all took part in the uprising?
No, several people didn't show up on the day of the exercise. That's why there was a resupply of troops.
Was there any sign recently that something might be wrong?
There was a report a month ago that they were acting strangely.
Apparently they consulted classified information about the soldier.
Well, they
to
don't know
inform their
about
own
Psycho
gene
Mantis
therapy
at this point in
experiments.
time. I mean,
They could do
they
that
know
in
about
my
him that he's a
view.
Well, our gene
psychic
therapy
soldier,
process
but
is
they don't.
almost completely automated.
I don't think they know
And
that
besides
he's
that, they're all
controlling the minds
geniuses
of
with
all these
IQs
people.
Over 180.
Even the existence of this genome army is a national secret of the highest order. We've been hoping to investigate this thing quietly.
The
and deal
highest
with it
order,
behind closed
Illuminati. Oh, these games, this whole series deals quite a bit with the Illuminati,
High-tech Special Forces Unit
shadow
Foxhound,
governments, and things of
your
that
former
nature.
unit, and one that I was a commander of. An elite group combining firepower and expertise. They're every bit as good as when I was commanding them.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity. Psycho Mantis, with his powerful psychic abilities. Sniper Wolf, the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. Decoy Octopus, master of disguise. Vulcan Raven, giant and shaman. And Revolver Ocelot.
Decoy
specialist
Octopus
in
is like that guy
interrogation
Lazarus
and a
off of
formidable gunfighter.
Looks like a lovely bunch of folks.
what's that Ben Stiller movie called? The war movie,
finally,
Tropic Thunder.
in charge of them,
He's
Foxhound
like
Squadron
Lazarus off of that.
Liquid Snake.
A dude playing a dude
Yes.
playing a dude.
And
Is
you're
that,
the
is
only
that what they
person who
said?
can stand against
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Decoy Octopus had that black melatonin injected inside of him so he could be the DARPA
Liquid
chief.
Snake.
Liquid Snake. The man with the same code name as you.
Tell me what you know.
He fought in the Gulf War as a teenager, the youngest person in the SAS. His job was to track down and destroy mobile Scud missile launching
British
platforms.
American.
You were there too, I believe. Didn't you infiltrate Western Iraq with a platoon of Green Berets?
I was just a kid myself back then.
The details are classified, but it seems that originally he penetrated the Middle East as a sleeper for the SIS.
He was a spy for the
Speaks
British
7
Secret
languages.
Intelligence Service?
But he never once showed his face in Century House.
Speaks Arabic
He was
like a
taken
native.
prisoner in Iraq, and after that there was no trace of him for several years. After you retired, he was rescued and became a member of Foxhound.
I thought that by the time I left, they were no longer using code names.
I don't know his real name. That information is so highly classified that even I can't look at it. Here's a photo of him. Pretty
That
shocking,
got some
huh?
spooked.
His skin tone is different, but otherwise you two are exact duplicates.
I have a twin?
I don't know the details, but it seems so. That's why we really need you for this mission.
You're the only one who can beat him. Now that I've met you, I know. You've got something that he doesn't. I can see it in your eyes.
What's that lady?
Why don't I find that thought more comforting?
Yeah, because if you beat him, it's like beating yourself. Non-sexually, of course. And when you exit, there's that last
Borrow your
file.
scissors.
What are you going to do?
Don't worry, just gonna clean myself up a little.
Huh?
I don't want to be mistaken for the leader of the terrorists.
So he chopped off the hair and dyed it. So you see that the video is 24 minutes. I said 24 to 27 minutes. I was wrong. Alright, so that's it for the briefing and the whole introduction to Metal Gear Solid. Oh, hold on. I forgot about this. This is the previous operations inside of book form, because a lot of people that had bought this game had never played Metal Gear 1 for the NES or the actual first version, which was the Japanese MSX computer version. And no American back at this time in 1998 has ever played Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So it was very important for Konami to put the story at least inside of written form for Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 inside of this game, so that you can get caught up on what happened before all of these events occur inside of this game. It was pretty important. It's pretty cool. Of course, while I'm showing this, why I show this to you is you can go through it and you can read it at your own pace. You could just pause the video at each slide, but I only spent about 3 seconds on each slide and just fast forward it, because otherwise making this video would take all day. So you just read it at your own pace. Dr. Petrovich, who is inside of Metal Gear 2, I think made his return in Metal Gear Solid 5. Alright, and before I completely finish this, I think I'm going to do one mission of VR training, just to give you guys a taste of what it's like. There's only 10 stages of VR training, but we're going to do the first one together. So you just have to head for the goal without getting caught. And man, this is me touching this game after 10 to 15 years of not touching it. I don't really remember the controls that well. Snake, you could control him with the D-pad or with the analog stick. Both are okay, but the right analog stick doesn't do anything. Alright. I'm going to save my data for playing this VR training, because I'd like to have all 10 of those done. But anyways, that's my introduction for the introduction of this game. Now on to the real game in the next video.